everyone, it's Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. Today I'm going to be doing my recommended reads for LGBTQ reads, books, young adult books. First things first, I'm wearing my hair down. Don't judge me. I'm filming this video very late at night and I'm trying to follow this ritual where I put my hair down at a certain time every night to get it to grow. It's about to here and I would like it to be longer, so that's why this is happening. That's why we have like this big ass mane. Moving forward. So I really wanted to do a Pride Month recommended reads. Forgot to do that. Does that surprise anybody? Because it should not. We are a hot mess. So let's just get started with these recommended reads. I have 7 books I kind of just want to talk about, tell you why I like them. I'm going to give you the Goodreads review and I'm just going to tell you ways you read them. For some reason, I went on a reading spree for like 3 weeks where all I read were LGBTQ. What's wrong with me? I don't know. But every time I read a book or listened to an audiobook, the next book that popped up was LGBTQ and I was like, oh, that sounds great. Read that. Oh, next one, same thing. Read that. I don't know. Moving forward. So I really am just going to tell you about the book and we're just going to get right into it. So let's get started. So the first book I have here to recommend to you guys is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This book was so absolutely adorable. I actually seen this on SCRIBD before I even picked up the actual copy and I started listening to it. This book is about a teenager named Ollie. He's living his best life, okay? And then his aunt gets cancer, which is very sad. And him and his is that even a word? Him and his family move out to West Virginia from California for the summer to kind of help her family during this time. Well, he meets a boy at a lake named Will. He is like his summer romance dream. Wants to marry this guy. He is just adorable. He is just adorable. He loves him. He wants to spend every day with him. But unfortunately, summer ends. He has to move back to California with his family. He heads back there with his family. And then his mom was like, you know what? Just kidding. We're gonna move to West Virginia. So him and his family pack up. They rent their home in California. They rent a house in West Virginia. And he is excited because he gets to see Will. So his parent, what? There is a bend in my cover. One of my bookcases tumbled the other day. I don't know what happened. I don't know if lost its balance. It tumbled and it went down. And some of my books apparently got a little screwed up in the process. So that's very sad. But he is super excited to move. He enrolls in public school and he ends up meeting this girl in the parking lot by pure chance. He's freaking out because he's late for school on his first day. She's late, not giving a care in the world, carrying a Starbucks frappe in a hand. And they meet, they have the first period class together. That becomes his first friend. Her name is Juliet. So southern, so sweet, amazing. And she's kind of asking him about his life, asking him about his love life for the most part, because apparently this girl is just nosy as all can get out. And he actually tells her about Will, about this really great guy he met, and how they fell in love, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out she knows Will. Will goes to the school. Will is a football player, and Will is very much closeted. So Will gets very much angry at Ollie for doing all this to him. And we are moving forward, and Will does everything in his power to avoid Ollie. He is not going to come around Ollie. He's mad at Ollie, okay? Well, you know what they say, love always draws you back to each other. So him and Ollie start talking, and you know, this is just their little story of kind of rekindling their summer love when the whole world is against Will. And this is just kind of such a cute little story. I actually really loved that it was biracial characters, and I loved everything about this book. The one complaint I did have about it was the audiobook. Forgot the lady who narrated it, but I hated the way she narrated it. She was just so over the top. She was very, 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 very too much to handle. If you're gonna read this book, read it, but don't listen to the audiobook unless you're ready for whiny voices, and I can't stand whiny voices. So this is obviously a young adult romance book. It is LGBTQ because our 2 main characters are gay, and on Goodreads it actually got a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, that is my first recommendation. Moving on to the next. Okay, I hope we're in like the same position still. I had to change my battery, my camera, which I feel like always happens every time we try to do a recommended reads video. Grain. And my cat was like, mother, let me in this room now. Like, this is her. You think she's super sweet, right? Doesn't she look like the sweetest cat ever? No, she's the devil. So the next recommended reads I have for LGBTQ romance books is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This book is about Monty. Let me tell you about Monty. He is a reckless romantic. If he likes you, he's going to do everything in his power to make you fall in love with him. And it's funny because a lot of the reviews I looked at on Goodreads were like, this book could become a person and I would fall in love with it. So from what I understand in the book, Monty is bisexual, so they really reference a lot of him sleeping with and falling in love with men and women, so that is a great main character. Monty is embarking on this grand tour of Europe. This is his last big hurrah before he has to overtake his father's responsibility of the kingdom, okay? He is slowly falling in love with his travel mate, Percy. So he is making this tour of Europe this one great big grand gesture to Percy, saying, Percy, fall in love with me. Because he just really wants to run off with Percy, and his dad's like, no sir, you have responsibilities like an adult. So he's vowing to make this trip just the biggest grand gesture he could ever give to Percy. And lo and behold, you screwed up, Monty, because he makes a big old mistake, the usual. Good job, Monty. Epic, grand lovers adventure turns into this manhunt, because good job, Monty. So I would really call this a YA romance, contemporary, a little bit of both, because it's a little mixture of a little bit of everything. On Goodreads, it actually had a 4.11 out of 5, which was actually pretty high. I was stoked, and so how I do recommended reads is I just jot down some of the things I want to say on a note card, and I actually underlined and wrote, if you can see that. Amazing. If that doesn't describe this book for you, I don't know what does. I just really liked this book. I loved how wonderfully the characters are written. That's something big for me. If my characters are written in a way where I don't really connect with them, I'm going to struggle. So these characters were written in just such a good way. They were very realistic, and I really, really enjoyed that about them. Next, we have These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. This book is about a witch named Hannah. She is the elemental witch, so she can control the 4 elements. And she lives in Salem, Massachusetts, and if that's just not ironic, okay, I just don't know. So some witch performs a blood ritual without her knowing, unleashing all this supernatural, paranormal, crazy stuff around Salem. So she's kind of on this hunt with her ex-girlfriend Victoria, who is also an elemental witch, to find this blood witch. While at a party looking for this blood witch, she meets a girl named Morgan, and she's like, oh, that girl's cute, I'm gonna go ask her out. So she is just kind of trying to wrap her head around being a teenager and trying not to have Salem go in flames with all these paranormal things traveling around. And as these attacks against her and the witches of Salem get dangerous and more deadly, she's just not having a fun time. The second book in the series actually just came out. Oh, I think it's called This Coven Won't Break. I was gonna pick it up, haven't picked it up. If someone's read it, please tell me how it is, because I just added it to my to be read pile on my Goodreads. So go check out my Goodreads. The link is below. Yeah, this actually only has a 3.75 out of 5 on Goodreads, but I personally really enjoyed it. It's fresh, I think it was new. I actually don't read very many lesbian love stories. I read a lot of gay romance, but not a lot of lesbian romance, so I really did enjoy that. And I want to say this is more contemporary than romance, but it does have a lot of relationships in it, so that's why I did add that to the list. Next is probably one of my favorite books of 2020, The Gravity Bus by Phil Stamter. Phil Stamter, you are the king, because I adored this book with everything in my being, okay? So this book is about a kid named Cal. He is living his best life in New York. He has this huge following on this app where he is like his own personal newscaster, just telling news around New York in like a fresh, fun way. He has his best friend that lives in the same apartment complex as him, and he is just, you know, doing everything that makes him have a fun time. Dad, who is chasing his dream to become an astronaut and be a pilot of a spaceship, well, his dream comes true, y'all. So he packs up his family and moves them to Texas from New York. Cal does not like it, hates every minute of it, doesn't know how he's going to continue his flash fame in Texas, because how can you be famous in Texas, okay? Plus, he's very gay, and I don't know if this is true, but there's a stereotype about Texans, y'all. It's called Texas doesn't like the LGBTQ community, okay? So while he's there in Texas, his dad is training for the NASA. He meets this kid named Leon, who is actually, his mom is actually battling for the pilot seat from Cal's dad, so that's fun. They meet, they mingle, they get a little fling, and all while they are trying to stay out of the spotlight so the spotlight can stay on their parents. They are trying to hide from this show called, what's it called? Shooting Stars, which is the TV show that kind of follows the astronauts around, reality show, having a great time, and they just really want to be together. So this is kind of just a very sweet love story about them just wanting to be together, but having to defy all odds of everything going around them. This was super sweet. It's like one of my top books of the year so far. It was one of those books that kind of stayed with me. I loved it. 100% completely. I loved it. I would definitely call this a YA romance because it really does center in on the romance aspect. It had a 3.78 out of 5 on Goodreads, but I gave it a 5 out of 5. Yeah, I adored this book completely. It was super sweet, super fun. I loved it completely. Alright, moving on. Next I have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuinton. I loved this book. It was super adorable. A lot of booktubers had a lot of mixed feelings on this book, but I was one of them who just adored it. I loved it completely. Was a fan. Okay, was a fan. 100%. So this book is about Alex. He is the first son of the United States. His mother is the first woman president, the first Hispanic lady in office. Amazing, obsessed with that, yes America, and he is just kind of living his best life being the first son. He is speaking up for everything he stands for. He is a student at Georgetown. He is going to school to be the next president when he gets older, so that's fun. He has an everlasting feud with the Prince of England, and he just argues with him, he bickers with him, he hates him, until at a party, a wedding more likely in England, he calls, and his mother and the White House staff makes him get together with him and apologize and act like they're best friends, just one big joke, and that best friend friendship turns into a romance, and they kind of fall in love, but they have to keep it a secret because Henry's entire family can't know that he's gay because he's afraid the monarchy will not like that. So he is trying to keep it a secret. The first son, Alex, is just all about it. He's like, listen, we can keep it a secret, but you need to tell him eventually. So I think that's a really, really weird aspect for a lot of gay couples is they have to be in the closet. So I really enjoyed this book. It was super sweet, super heartwarming. Something I really liked about this book is they incorporated a lot of emails and a lot of tweets. So they actually make the pages look like emails and Twitter, and that is just a super cool aspect for me. It just kind of brings the book alive for me. So I recommend that because I loved this book. And that is a YA romance, and it actually has a 4.25 out of 5 on Goodreads, so that is a really good. I really enjoyed that book, so recommend it. So next we have The Immortalist by Chloe Brown. Next with The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. I know you're like, this is on your recommended reads. Yes, it is. Let me tell you why. So our main character, Simon, well, backstory. So this book is about a group of 4 kids who are all siblings that decide, you know what, let's go speak to this thinking to see how we're gonna die because we're 10. What else do we have to do? They do that, and it kind of changes the way they live their life because now they know when they're gonna die. So Simon, which is one of our main characters, he decides to follow his sister out to California from New York and leaves his entire family. So during this time, he's experiencing a lot of different things. He's experiencing his whole life changing. He is seeing this whole new world of people. He is experiencing with his sexuality. He starts working at a gay club. He starts feeling these feelings towards men he's never felt before, all while the AIDS pandemic is kind of going on. And at this time, when the AIDS pandemic started, it really focused it in on the gay community. So that's another thing that I feel like spoke to me and made me want to put this on this list because this is kind of a side to a gay love story that we don't really see. He has several different lovers. He's just trying to find his place in this world. So that's why I think this definitely deserves to be on the list because of Simon. So I would call this actually a young adult contemporary. It does talk a lot about gay lovers, but I would call it a young adult contemporary. Goodreads actually gave it a 3.72 out of 5. I personally didn't enjoy the story itself, but I really did like how they did portray that one character. So, I just wanted to give this an honorable mention because of Simon and his challenges. Alright, and last but very not least on my list, I have The Perfect 10 by L. Phillips. So actually this was a dollar store pick. I actually think I did a dollar store haul from it. Super cute story. I am so into like cheesy romance, and this is just something that hit my eye. So this book is about Sam. Sam just broke up with the only other gay guy in his school. Unfortunate, right? So his best friend, who actually was a Catholic turned Wiccan, says, hey, let's do a love spell. So he's like, you know what do I have to lose? He decides to do a love spell. So he writes down all these traits that he looks for in a man. Good looking, nice shoes, perfect hair, fun socks, and they burn this list in a cemetery at midnight. Well, lo and behold, within a couple weeks, these men start to appear. He finds 3 guys who are just absolutely perfect, or seemingly so, and he actually starts dating them. He is trying to figure out which guy he likes the most. But this book kind of shows that not everybody is what they seem. Not every man is as beautiful as they seem. So this is kind of a perfect little story about how you can never find the perfect man, perfect woman, whoever you like. So this is such a cute book. This is definitely on my recommended reads because of how cute it is. I'm actually kind of obsessed with it, and it's probably a problem that I don't want to face. So there's that. It gives a lot of magical realism vibes with the Wiccan, with the love spell. It's just fun. It's a fun book. This is definitely a coming of age, romantic, young adult book. It's super cute. I love it. It has a 3.34 out of 5 stars. A lot of people didn't enjoy the magical realism, but I do. It kind of gives it a fairy tale vibe for me. So I really did enjoy this book, and I totally would recommend it. Alright guys, that is all my recommended reads for YA LGBTQ romance. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If it is your first time here, hi, my name's Sabrina. I'm very excited to have you here. Here we just do a lot of book talk. If you have anything you'd like me to talk about, as usual, please leave it in a comment down below. I would love to see you guys back for another video. As usual, my last word, my most recent videos will be at the very end, so don't forget to watch those. I just uploaded a bookshelf tour, which 2 days later, I moved my bookshelves around because I can't make up my mind. And my bookshelf broke, so I don't have a choice. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you like my video, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Go to my channel, vote on some polls. That's how I decide what to film, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! We're not really buying. I have to film. You guys like it better when I do it this way? When I do it this way. I like it this way because then you can't see. You can't see what I don't want you to see. You know what I feel like with my hair down? I feel like I'm a bad. Oh, should I say that on camera? I'll bleep it out. You can't sit with us. Okay, I need to leave. Bye guys.